Imagine you hold a financial lever so incredibly powerful that just, a single highly specific adjustment could instantly redirect billions of dollars in private capital.
Right, directly into the market.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Straight into rural American towns, into top secret national security technology, and into small manufacturing plants.
It really is a massive shift.
It is. And today, we are looking at a new law that did exactly that. And it passed so quietly and efficiently through the government that you probably did not even know it happened.
Most people definitely missed it.
Welcome to the show. Please take a moment right now to like and subscribe, as it truly helps us bring these critical explorations directly to you.
It makes a huge difference for us.
It absolutely does. So today we are focusing our absolute full attention on a highly specific piece of legislation. It is Public Law 11992.
Which is such a critical text.
Right, and it originally began its journey as House Resolution 2066. The official title of this legislation is the Investing in All of America Act of 2025.
That title gives you a good hint of its scope.
It really does. Our mission today is to help you understand exactly how this new law fundamentally alters the Small Business Investment Act of 1958.
Because that older law is really the foundation here.
Exactly. By modifying definitions from that older foundational law, this new legislation strategically redirects the flow of private capital across the United States.
It is basically rerouting the money.
Precisely. Now, to truly grasp the magnitude of this law, we first need to look at the timeline and the facts of its passage.
A timeline is actually really revealing.
It is. This legislative journey is a perfect illustration of how efficiently our government can operate. We often hear otherwise, but this bill moved so smoothly.
It was incredibly streamlined.
Right. So it was introduced in the House of Representatives on March 11, 2025. It was moved forward by Mr. Williams of Texas.
Just a clean, straightforward introduction.
Exactly. And it proceeded cleanly and directly to the House Committee on Small Business. There, it passed with absolute complete consensus.
Complete consent.
Yes. Securing a recorded vote of 2-3-0 on July 22, 2025. Following that exceptionally smooth committee markup session, the bill moved to the broader floor of the House of Representatives.
Where things kept moving just as fast.
They really did. The House debated the bill for exactly 40 minutes on December 1, 2025. Just exactly 40 minutes.
That is a very concise block of time.
Right. After that concise and focused 40-minute discussion, they passed the legislation by a voice vote under a suspension of the rules.
Which is a highly efficient mechanism.
It is. A suspension of the rules is a very efficient procedural tool used in the House when a bill has such broad, unified support.
They do not even need to debate it much.
Exactly. The chamber simply pushes it forward without needing to navigate the usual lengthy procedural steps. From there, the legislation transitioned to the Senate.
Right, over to the other chamber.
Where it was received and referred to the Senate Committee on Small Business and Entrepreneurship. And in a display of complete alignment, the Senate passed the bill by unanimous consent.
Without a single amendment, right.
Without a single amendment, on April 15, 2026. Unanimous consent means exactly what it sounds like.
Every single senator agreed.
Every single one. They all agreed to let it pass sufficiently and promptly. Shortly thereafter, it was presented to the President and officially signed into law on May 19, 2026.
That is the complete, straightforward journey.
It is. To help you visualize this, think of this legislative journey like a vehicle taking the fast-pass lane on a highly organized, modern highway.
Like a toll lane where you just cruise right through.
Exactly like that. It moved cleanly, steadily, and incredibly efficiently through committee markups, proceeding with brief and decisive debate.
Just gliding right through.
Gliding right through, unanimous consent directly to the President's desk. The entire process was streamlined and effective, demonstrating a unified recognition of the bill's value.
Everyone basically saw the purpose immediately.
Right, by all lawmakers involved. There were no detours, no extensive overhauls along the way, just a straight, highly efficient shot from introduction to becoming the law of the land.
The system really worked exactly as designed here.
It did, to advance a critical economic adjustment. Now, to understand exactly why this bill garnered such immediate and unified support, we need to look under the hood at the exact financial mechanics it changes.
Well, what's fascinating here is exactly how that financial engine is engineered, because the mechanics are brilliant in their precision.
They really are precise.
To thoroughly grasp the power of Public Law 11992, we have to look very closely at Section 2 of the bill.
Right. Section 2 is where the real mechanics live.
Exactly. This section fundamentally rewrites the financial mechanics of what we call leverage.
Leverage being a huge concept in this space.
It is everything. In the context of the Small Business Investment Act of 1958, leverage essentially means the government-backed capital that investment companies use to multiply their own private investments.
So it is kind of like a multiplier for their own money.
That is exactly it. Imagine you have a certain amount of your own money, right? Your private capital. The government allows you to borrow additional funds, backed by their guarantee.
So you can make bigger moves.
Precisely, to increase the size of the investments you can make into small businesses. This new law updates the very definition of what qualifies as the private capital used to calculate this leverage.
It changes the fundamental math.
It does. Specifically, the legislation establishes a strict rule that excludes funds obtained directly or indirectly from any federal, state, or local government agency.
So they cannot double dip, basically.
Right. The government does not want investment firms using other government grants or state funds to artificially inflate their private capital numbers.
Thus to borrow even more federal leverage.
Exactly. However, the law creates a highly deliberate, highly targeted exception to this rule.
A very specific carve-out.
It explicitly allows funds coming from pension plans, foundations, endowments, or trusts of any college or university to be included as private capital.
Even if those schools are state schools.
Yes, even if those colleges or universities have ties to state governments. By carving out that specific exception for higher education institutions, the legislation effectively opens a massive channel.
A channel to stable, long-term pools of institutional capital.
Exactly. University endowments and pension plans hold billions of dollars, and this bill ensures that those specific funds can be utilized.
And leverage to invest in American small businesses.
While still keeping other general government funds out of the equation. Beyond defining the source of the funds, the bill also drastically alters the pure math of the leverage itself.
It changes the actual multiplier.
It amends the previous maximum leverage multiplier, taking it from a factor of 300 down to 200. Let me explain exactly how that works for you.
It sounds like a big drop.
Well, previously, a multiplier of 300 meant that under certain conditions, for every dollar of private capital an investment company had, they could potentially access up to $3 of government-backed leverage.
So $1 gets you 3.
Right. By bringing that multiplier down to 200, the bill ensures that investment companies are utilizing their capital with a much more conservative, highly secure ratio.
It makes the whole system safer.
It tightens the baseline formula to ensure the entire system remains financially robust. But the bill goes much further than just adjusting the multiplier.
It puts actual hard dollar caps in place.
It does. It sets highly precise hard dollar limits on the maximum total leverage any single investment company can hold. The legislation sets a maximum leverage limit of $250 million.
$250 million.
Right, specifically for companies that make regular, quarterly, or semi-annual interest payments on their leverage.
So they are rewarded for paying regularly.
Exactly. For any other investment company that does not follow that strict regular interest payment schedule, the limit is strictly capped much lower.
Down to what amount?
At $175 million. It is a financial structure explicitly designed to reward reliable, predictable cash flow.
So if you're reliable, you get more access.
If you pay your interest regularly, the government trusts you with up to $250 million in leverage. If you do not, your access to capital is restricted.
That makes perfect sense.
Furthermore, the law addresses the complex reality of modern corporate finance by setting specific limits for commonly controlled companies.
Right, because many companies operate under larger umbrellas.
Exactly. A commonly controlled company simply means multiple different investment entities that are all operating under the same parent organization.
Like a single corporate umbrella.
Yes. The government recognizes that these larger umbrellas need different caps. For these commonly controlled groups, if they are making those crucial quarterly or semi-annual interest payments, their maximum leverage limit is increased.
Increased to what level?
To $475 million. For commonly controlled companies without that regular payment structure, the absolute ceiling is placed at $350 million.
So again, the regular payments unlock a higher tier.
Exactly. These are not arbitrary figures pulled out of thin air. They are precisely calibrated mathematical thresholds.
Designed to manage risk across the whole board.
Right, protecting the economy while still providing incredibly robust avenues for capital to flow into the market.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have this new, highly specific financial engine you just outlined, complete with updated definitions.
Very strict new definitions of private capital.
Right, and lowered leverage multipliers from 300 to 200. And we have strict dollar caps set at $250 million or $475 million, depending on your corporate structure and payment habits.
That is the foundation of the math, yes.
But the most crucial question for you, the listener, to consider right now is who actually benefits from this?
That is the real heart of the issue.
Exactly. What is the core motivation driving this legislation forward so efficiently? The answer lies in three very specific categories of businesses.
Three sectors that get a massive advantage.
Right, a game-changing advantage under this new law. The legislation states that investments made into these three specific sectors are entirely excluded from those strict leverage limits we just went over.
They just do not count against the cap.
Exactly. The first category is small business concerns located in low-income geographic areas or in rural areas.
Which historically struggle to get funding.
They do. The second category is small business concerns operating primarily in a covered technology category.
Which is basically advanced sectors vital to national security.
Right, national security and future innovation. And the third and final category is small manufacturers.
The industrial base, essentially.
Precisely. Now, to understand exactly why this exclusion is so powerful, I want you to imagine you are packing your bags for a highly anticipated flight.
Okay, get ready for the airport.
You arrive at the airport, and the airline informs you that you have a very strict luggage weight allowance. You have exactly 50 pounds, not an ounce more.
They are very strict about that 50 pounds.
You are standing there at the check-in counter, carefully weighing every single item you own, agonizing over what to keep and what to leave behind.
Because you absolutely cannot go over that maximum limit.
Right. You might have to leave your heavy coat or your extra shoes at home. Then, the airline makes a sudden announcement over the public address system.
What did they announce?
They tell you that from this moment forward, medical supplies and educational books no longer count toward your weight limit at all.
Oh, so those items are essentially free weight.
Exactly. Suddenly, your entire calculus changes instantly. This new rule heavily incentivizes you to pack those specific vital items.
You just load your bags with them.
You will open your bags and load them with as many medical supplies and educational books as you possibly can carry, because they do not penalize your 50-pound limit.
That is a great way to visualize it.
That airport scenario is exactly what this bill does for private capital and government leverage. The strict dollar caps of $250 million or $475 million represent the airline's strict luggage weight limit.
The absolute ceiling you cannot pass.
Exactly. By explicitly declaring that investments placed into rural areas, low-income areas, critical covered technology, and small manufacturing no longer count toward that leverage limit, the government is deliberately incentivizing investment companies.
They want them to pour millions of dollars into those areas.
Yes, millions of dollars of capital into those underserved areas and critical industries. They're taking these specific vital sectors entirely off the weight limit scale.
It fundamentally changes their portfolio strategy.
It does. This means an investment company can max out their standard investments, hitting their absolute maximum cap of $250 million. But under this new law, they still have the freedom to keep investing tens of millions more.
Into a new small manufacturer in a rural town.
Right, or into a startup developing covered national security technology without facing any leverage penalty whatsoever.
It is incredibly clever.
It is a brilliant, highly effective mechanism to redirect the immense power of private finance directly toward the physical, industrial, and technological foundations of the country.
It shifts the focus entirely.
It ensures that regions and sectors that traditionally struggle to attract venture capital, like rural towns or heavy manufacturing, are suddenly transformed into the absolute most attractive assets in any investment portfolio.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, We have to recognize a fundamental rule of finance.
Which is what?
Whenever you create a powerful financial incentive, you must simultaneously build a robust limitation to prevent unintended consequences.
Right, you cannot just leave the door wide open forever.
Exactly. You cannot simply allow investment firms to pack absolutely infinite amounts of those medical supplies onto the airplane without eventually risking the structural stability of the entire aircraft.
The plane still has to fly safely.
It does. The government understands that leverage, while incredibly useful for economic growth, is still essentially debt.
It is borrowed money at the end of the day.
Therefore, Section 2 of the bill carefully implements structural guardrails to prevent dangerous over-leveraging across the investment landscape.
So how do those guardrails actually work?
The legislation clearly dictates that the aggregate amount a company can exclude from their leverage calculation is not a blank check. It cannot exceed the lesser of 50% of their private capital or $125 million.
The lesser of those two numbers.
Right. This specific mathematical boundary is crucial. It ensures that while investment companies are heavily, deliberately incentivized to invest in these critical target areas,
Like the rural manufacturing covered technology?
yes, they must still maintain a highly proportional foundation of their own private skin in the game. If an investment firm has $100 million in private capital, the maximum amount they can exclude under this new rule is $50 million.
Because 50% of their private capital is lesser than the hard cap of $125 million.
You've got it. They cannot artificially inflate their portfolios with government-backed leverage far beyond what their actual tangible private capital can safely sustain.
So it keeps them anchored.
It balances aggressive investment incentives with conservative fiscal responsibility. But perhaps the absolute most vital guardrail in the entire piece of legislation is the prospective applicability clause.
Which comes right at the end of the text, right?
It is intentionally placed at the very end. This rule dictates that the new leverage exclusions only apply to investments made by a licensee after the exact date of the bill's enactment.
Which was May 19, 2026.
Exactly. This is a critical provision for you to understand because it completely prevents retroactive financial windfalls.
People getting rewarded for things they already did.
Precisely. To see why this matters, imagine if a massive investment firm had already invested heavily in a rural manufacturing plant 3 years ago, simply because they thought it was a good business move at the time.
It was just a regular investment for them.
Right. If this new law applied retroactively, that firm would suddenly see hundreds of millions of dollars wiped from their leverage calculation overnight.
Just instantly erased from the ledger.
Their balance sheet would instantly free up massive borrowing capacity without them having to lift a single finger or deploy a single new dollar into the actual economy.
They would receive a massive, unearned reward for actions they already took in the past.
Exactly. By strictly enforcing prospective applicability, the law guarantees that the financial impact of the bill genuinely drives brand new capital into these target areas moving forward.
It forces them to go out and find new opportunities.
It forces the investment companies to seek out completely new rural businesses, to break ground on new low-income area projects.
And to fund entirely new, critical technology startups.
Yes, if they want to benefit from the highly lucrative leverage exclusion, it ensures the legislation functions exactly as intended.
As a powerful catalyst for future economic growth.
Rather than a retroactive bonus for past financial strategies, the financial impact here is perfectly calibrated to cost the taxpayer virtually nothing.
Because it just redirects existing private capital.
Using existing guarantee frameworks, ensuring maximum economic stimulation with minimum public exposure.
So what does this all mean? When we look at the complete totality of Public Law 11992.
Which originated from House Resolution 206.
Exactly. We see a masterclass in targeted economic engineering. It takes a piece of legislation from 1958 and surgically updates it for the modern era.
It really is a precise surgical update.
It carefully balances immense, highly attractive incentives for critical industries with precise mathematical guardrails.
Like that $125 million cap we talked about.
Right, to protect the broader financial system. I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder long after we finish our discussion today.
It is something really worth considering.
Consider how tweaking highly obscure financial definitions, like adjusting a 1958 banking leverage cap multiplier from 300 to 200,
or altering the precise definition of an excluded asset for a commonly controlled company.
Yes, consider how that is actually the hidden lever actively shaping the physical landscape of American manufacturing, rural revitalization, and critical technology.
It changes the real world, physically.
It does. When you drive through a low-income town and see a brand new advanced manufacturing facility being built, or when you read about a massive breakthrough in national security technology, those advancements are not just the result of bold entrepreneurship.
There's a whole engine running behind them.
They are often the direct, carefully engineered downstream result of a few modified sentences in a dense financial regulatory code.
It is incredible how that connects.
It makes you wonder, as you look at the trajectory of our entire economy, how many other massive future innovations that will define the next century of industry
Just waiting to happen.
are just waiting right now on a subtle adjustment to an old financial definition. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to exploring the next fascinating topic with you soon.